Good afternoon. This is Rich Ness. I am the Executive Vice President of Open Systems Media, and I am here for this week's installment of 5 Minutes With. This week, our special guest is Mark Barrett. He is the Chief Marketing Officer of Blu Wireless Technology. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
I'm great. Good morning, Rich. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you. Same here. Nice to talk to you as well. Okay, so Blu Wireless is developing 60 gigahertz WiGig technology. Some of our folks may not be that familiar with WiGig, so would you please explain to people how that technology compares to other wireless protocols and where it is most appropriate, and then also where the places where it's not appropriate?
Sure. So WiGig is part of the Wi-Fi family, and I think most folk will be familiar with Wi-Fi in their devices. But WiGig uses the new high-frequency band up at 60 gigahertz and provides gigahertz of bandwidth. So this means that you can transfer content at gigabits of data rate. So therefore, if you want to transfer your HD video from your set-top box to your smartphone, you can do that in 20 or 30 seconds compared to minutes, if not hours, using today's Wi-Fi. And because it's part of the Wi-Fi family, you'll see this begin to emerge in consumer devices from 2016 onwards.
So you mentioned video. So what are other places that might see a benefit to such a high frequency?
Well, there's a couple of other areas we're working on. So you've probably heard a lot about 5G mobile as well, and increasing speeds by a factor of 1,000. And one of the ways that's going to be achieved is using these higher frequency waves, also known as millimeter waves. And we see a commonality between technology being used in WiGig and future extensions onto 5G mobile. And the third area we see as interesting is also in backhaul between mobile phone base stations. Everybody's got 4G handsets these days, and everybody's consuming more and more data. But the problem the operators have is getting the data to the base stations in the first place without having to dig up the pavement and put down fiber optic. So there's also a huge opportunity to use the same technology in that infrastructure market.
Okay, so explain to me then how backward compatibility works, and then I'm going to ask you about the power after that.
Well, backwards compatibility with Wi-Fi works through the standardization forum, better known as the Wi-Fi Alliance. So essentially what those guys do is implement a certification program so you can take your device along and make sure that your device works against the standard. And then also, in order to maintain compatibility with today's generation of Wi-Fi, there's effectively a switch in the protocol stack which allows data to be switched to and from millimeter wave operation at 60 gigahertz or standard operation at 2.4. And that's a feature called fast session transfer, which is embedded in the specification.
Okay, now I'd like to hear, if you're using this for mobile applications, what is the power consumption and how will that change over time?
Okay, there's a couple of ways of looking at that. So the power consumption in absolute terms for a typical WiGig implementation is in the region of anywhere between 200 and 400 milliwatts. Now that's relatively high, but this technology is only designed to be on when it's needed. So what it means is that in terms of energy per bit, you're talking about a couple of hundred picojoules per bit compared to 10 or 20,000 picojoules per bit for today's Wi-Fi. So it's a factor of 100 or more efficient in terms of power per bit transferred compared to today's Wi-Fi.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, well, unfortunately, we're just about out of time, but I do have another question for you. We generally don't have marketing folks on the program here, but I'm looking at your bio, and you're not really a marketing guy. You're a tech guy. What are you doing in a marketing role?
Well, I can't see the difference. I started out working for Philips Electronics back in the 80s, and Philips was very much a company where all engineers were trained in the art of marketing from an early age. So therefore, I think marketing and engineering are intimately connected. You can't do engineering without an understanding of the market.
But generally, the engineers are saying to the marketing folks, that's not possible. We can't do that. Why are you telling people we could do that?
Yeah, I guess I'm a bit unusual. I'm one of those marketing people who says to the engineers, it is possible. Here's how. Go off and do it. So I guess that's the way I bring value to the role.
I'm sure those are very interesting conversations. Okay, that was our 5 minutes for this week. That was Mark Barrett. As you heard, he is the Chief Marketing Officer for Blu Wireless Technology. I am Rich Nass. I am the Executive Vice President of Open Systems Media, and we hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.